Hey,
Hey
hey,
everybody!
I'm seeing some joy, which is unacceptable on the screen. We're serious here.
Wow, right off the
This is a
bat,
serious
huh?
Oh
discussion
wow.
Alright, it's
about a
gonna be a
serious
long one.
movie. Uh,
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Nerditorium live. This week we have all members of Geek Fruit because it's an important one, and we need everybody to kind of come together to to, uh, to review what we have just witnessed in the last week. On my left, in the real world, but 6 feet from me, socially distanced, Abhimanyu Rathore.
Hello.
Uh,
My hand.
on my,
Abhimanyu's arm is 6 feet long.
he's tall. On my
He's
extreme left, very socially distanced. Jishnu Guha, everybody. How's it going, Jishnu?
Hello.
Nice. Below, Dinkar Dwivedi. How's it going?
going very nicely.
Great, great, great. And to my diagonal left, Ruchi Vasudev. How's it going, Ruchi?
It's going all right so far.
Great.
It's about to really go downhill now. So.
It will. It's gonna go downhill from here. All right, we have a movie on our hands that has been just where do I even begin with this? Zack Snyder's Justice League. There's a lot to say. I want to say at the outset that this is a spoiler cast. We're going to be spoiling it, and we're going to be talking about literally everything that happens in this movie. There's a lot because it's 4 hours long, and it took about 4 years to get here. Even though we have seen some iteration of this film before, we're going to be spoiling it. And if you haven't seen it, I think it's okay. But if you wanna stay unspoiled, go back in time. Don't watch Justice League, and come straight to this one. So. I don't think it's a stretch to say that we all have thoughts on this. Some mostly not good is what I'm guessing from the vibe of. I mean, four of us, Jishnu, Abhimanyu, Dinkar, and I saw the movie together, so we all kind of
Socially
expressed.
distant, though.
Yeah, we kind of had an amorphous blob of a review that kind of just became homogenized as we started to go just diving through the hours of this film. Ruchi, of course, watched it a day before us. She opening day did it opening day style and has thoughts which she shared with us as well. But safe to say, we have some issues with this movie. We're gonna break them down today. I'm excited. Even though I just want to say, just before we kind of get into talking about the dumb things about this movie and potentially some of the good stuff, that I was really excited to watch this. Remember, Dinkar, when we went to the theater, we went to IMAX and we were just like, Justice League. People don't understand. Justice League is bigger than the Avengers. From the comic books, they were like, it's got Batman, Superman, it's got the Flash, it's got Martian Manhunter, it's got all of these characters, Green Lantern, etc. Who are like household names. And before you kind of familiarize yourself with characters like the Vision, or whether it's the twins, things like that. The Avengers always had a rotating lineup, but the core lineup of the Justice League is everybody knows that, and so that's why I was really excited to watch this movie, even though we thought it was coming at a much earlier date than we expected it to. Batman vs Superman came out 2016. 2017 we had Justice League in the theater, so there was some course correction done, but we were excited to watch the movie. Dinkar, do you remember that, man?
I remember being very excited about Justice League, but apprehensive because we knew it could go one of two ways, and it went the second way.
The second way, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is considering, I mean, you and I are two of the very few defenders of Batman v Superman around. And even our defense,
Dinkar is gone and he's back again. Great.
I'm
great.
right here, even our defense is far from unqualified. Like, the best we can say about this movie is it had moments, and that's BVS. So what happened with the original version of Justice League was that it went completely in the other direction. It barely had any moments worth talking about either, and it was mostly just like a mess in an uninteresting way. Unlike BVS, like at least BVS had potential and like the glimmer of hope. It's like the child that you look at and say like that kid could make something of himself, or he could be a serial killer.
Right.
But with Justice League, it's just
It's pure
so,
serial killer. Gotcha.
Yeah,
I do want to say
and not
also.
even like a good serial killer. Not one of the sexy ones.
Yeah, not a Ted Bundy, basically, not Zac Efron
Yeah.
Style. No, I just want to say that
Very, yeah. Sure.
Sorry, I said Zac Efron and Ted Bundy
you
actually.
said,
Mostly, sorry. Yeah.
No, you're just trying to.
Zac Efron is the Zodiac killer. He's not Ted Bundy.
No, he's Ted Bundy.
That's
He's
what the
Ted
Z
Bundy.
is for.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Oh.
Yeah, but also he's the Zodiac killer.
I do want to say,
IRL.
I do want to say that this movie has attracted a kind of an apprehensive, point of view from even people who want to review it negatively, because there's so much. I do want to express that we are in the minority, mostly from what I've seen on the internet, because we saw this fairly early when it came out, and within few days the reaction to this film was overwhelmingly positive, which is great. So for people who do enjoy this film, and one of our really, really good friends of the Fruit, Abhijit Kinney, who I wanted to kind of bring on this show, but I think it was a bit too late. But I wanted to get his opinion, because he's like us. He defends Batman versus Superman, and he enjoys like the spectacle of it. He's a comic book artist, and he's been on Twitter and he's been talking about this. And every time he would say something, I'm just like, man, I don't agree with Abhijit, but man, the guy his comic book heart is in the right place. So for all the people who did enjoy this movie and felt like this is the movie that they've been waiting for, full marks to you. I'm glad when people enjoy a movie that other people don't like. The Accountant. Then the other thing is that is there is that, so we can't take that away from it. Having said that, when we do review this, just keep in mind that these are just our opinions. and they are also valid. Let's go.
This paper's gone on way too long.
Sorry. I'll shut up now. Ruchi, why don't you tell us? You saw it a day before us, before the reviews came out. What did you think?
Did I watch it before the reviews came out?
I think on the day you saw it, like almost as soon as it was released to the public.
Yeah, no, I feel like the reviews came out like before the movie even dropped. Right? I'd say dropped because it literally dropped on the internet. Okay. It was an experience. I didn't hate watching it, I will say that, like, at the outset. Because, again, like you guys, I watched it with a couple of people. It was like 4 of us. I did not hate the experience of it. It was just like, the entire 4 hours was just like all of us doing, like, very smart alecky, annoying people, doing bits the whole time and just, like, trying to make each other laugh. And really, like, sort of peripherally watching this movie that we already know. You don't really have to watch it. I mean, it's just like mostly slow-mo, so you don't really have to pay attention. So yeah, so we did that. I didn't hate the experience. It was like a fun time watching with buds. We ate a lot, just like stress eat almost.
Yeah.
And that was it. But about the actual movie, I never wanted to watch it. And I watched it just because everyone was going. I guess that's like the most truthful way of saying it. I don't care for it still. I'm sorry, you guys.
No, don't apologize for your opinion. Ruchi, actually, I think your experience was very akin to our own.
Yeah. We share sentiments. Would you have watched this? Ruchi, would you have watched this movie if you weren't involved with Geek Fruit and weren't going to do a review of it?
Yeah.
You would have watched it willingly? Before us, the whole way through?
Yeah, of course. I am famously a DC.
She's a DC, yeah, you're a DC hoe.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Because I wonder how many people that like at least like myself, I can only speak of on behalf of. I didn't like the first movie. I didn't like Whedon's cut, and I didn't have high hopes for this one. And I kind of expect anybody that hated the original is not going to be swayed by this one, and anybody that loved the first one or at least liked it is going to double down and like this one more.
You think so, man? Because
I don't think this movie was going to change people's minds.
But there's a lot of turnaround, right? Like a lot of people like rallied for the Snyder cut because they didn't like that first one, right?
So okay, I will. So talking about nerds, like who are also waiting for this movie, who are not like Snyder bros.
Mm-hmm.
Who would have like given this like a second chance? I'll out my brother in this case because he was fully like it's fine. What if it's good? Like he's younger than me, so he's a lot more optimistic. So he's just like, he's like, all right, we'll watch it.
Love
It could be good. You don't know. It could actually be good. I'm like, no, it's not. Let's just like get snacks and like alcohol, and it's really not going to be good. Don't like. And I think the entire experience was just like also watching the movie and like having fun, but watching him like slowly lose. So he's like, it's still gonna be good. No, it's not. No, it's not good. It was really, really sad in that way.
This movie was a slog, right? I don't know. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, even though it had chapters, I think 6 chapters, I felt like the structures weren't aligned properly. Like, I didn't know what each individual character wanted out of each chapter. Like, I felt like
I don't know what the movie is about.
yeah,
Like,
the chapter.
I don't know what the movie.
It
is.
is incoherent
The
that way,
first
yes.
paragraph is called, I think it's Batman Don't Count on It, right?
Don't count on it,
Yeah.
Batman.
Don't count on Batman, right? But it's just like a mix of other characters all in one, and one character says Batman Don't Count on It, so that's why it's called that. That chapter's titled that. So it just, I don't know, it was very random.
They're
in terms
all
of the
like
content and
titular
the
things,
structure.
right? Like someone says it. It's like that Twitter
Yeah.
account.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like you could have
Aquaman.
swapped like chapter 2 and 3 around, and like it wouldn't have mattered.
You're
Like-
saying the chapters are fairly arbitrary
Yeah,
in
exactly.
in what they kind of contain,
Yeah.
as opposed to kind of just easy break points for people to go to the
Yeah.
bathroom, have a snack, get a refill. You know, like in that way, it makes it a little bit easier to watch, because every time you finish a chapter, for us it was just like, all right.
Okay, let me look at it this way. Let's
friend
put
would
aside.
Our friend
let's
would like read it out every single time there would be a new chapter. He'd be like, chapter 4.
Let's put aside the chapters for a second and just look at the actual story that has been expanded from 2 to 4, right? If I'm not mistaken, he spent approximately 2 of the 4 hours just doing the team building, right? It was only about 2 hours in that the team assembles. And then you think that it's going to be another 2 for the third act. And it wasn't quite that, because like there was a pretty long epilogue towards the end. But he spent 2 hours he spent 2 hours with the right mindset of, okay, I need to do better table setting than the original cut had, because he's introducing the premise, or rather the what's the word, the motivation for a lot of the characters who didn't have their own solo flicks before. So that's a good idea. However, because so much of this damn movie is just extended slow-mo shots and extended set pieces,
10% of this movie apparently.
he didn't spend any time really with the story and just like fleshed out pretty looking visuals. I'll give him credit. I've always said everybody has lauded over his ability to do really good visuals, and kudos to the guy. This looks really good, even though it's 4:3. It looks amazing. Well done, you. But as far as the story is concerned, there's no reason for it to be that long. So if we put aside the length of the movie and the slog nature of it, because obviously anything that's 4 hours long is a slog, even Endgame is a slog. But if the story is good enough, you're willing to go through it. This one was just like really long action sequences. And I was like, okay, we know who's going to win this fight because we've seen this already. So there's no reason for me to be invested in a longer version of it when I know what's going to happen. If you're going to give me more details about the story that I didn't know, or like give me perspectives that I wasn't aware of beforehand, I've been more invested.
That's the thing.
But the fact that it was just slow-mo shots and just like beauty shots, I was like, this is not worth it.
Like, for a 4-hour film, the motivations behind the mother box and like what is the anti-life equation, if you're like a comic book nerd, you might know those things, but that for a 4-hour film, that wasn't even explained, you know, like it felt like there were no stakes, because I think we were watching a review and he was saying that there are no people in this film.
Yeah, it is kind of insane that because of the reactive nature of like the reactions to Man of Steel, like literally everywhere the Justice League goes, there's just like, here's a fucking, you know, like uninhabited island, here's Russia, here's a Soviet kind of spot where there's no people, there's no nothing. I think what Joss Whedon even tried to do was kind of raise the stakes of like, oh, people could suffer based on Steppenwolf, but you really don't feel that. You feel like it's very insular, like the characters just live in this own kind of superhero world, and that's about it. I think the most important point to make about these movies, like this movie versus the previous one, which was that okay, cool, we're gonna have more time to set up the characters, like you said, that don't have a film like prior to this. Like, for example, a big hue and cry was made about Cyborg and about how Cyborg and Steppenwolf, okay, for example, there's still Flash and Aquaman and Wonder Woman, who ostensibly people did not know at the time, you know, Justice League came out, because their movies weren't like as big or whatever. And those characters don't really have any, there's no real reason for them to be there, like, or involved there. Cyborg and Steppenwolf, who arguably get like most of the running time, most people have said, oh, okay, cool, they've given them like some motivation and stuff, but I still don't see it. Like, I'm still not convinced by what Cyborg's thing, fine, but there's not, it seems very superficial. There's not too much
Like
depth.
cookie cutter.
Yeah, cookie cutter.
A lot of people think this is Cyborg's film, but I from my recollection, it's, what does he do exactly? I mean,
he gives some people some money.
yeah, and you see him playing,
The
you know,
problem-
sports a little bit, and his
The
father
problem
dies
with
for
this
no
movie,
reason.
the problem with this movie and its emotions are just like,
It's
so
it's too shallow.
no, every single emotion is the way they're dealing with it. It's definitely like a very like Neanderthal approach to it. Like, it's like Cyborg, sad because of sad. Wonder Woman, sad because of, like, it's very broad. There's no nuance at all. Batman is sad because of this person. Like, it's all just like very broad emotions that almost like they're trying to make it easily accessible for like kids, but kids aren't watching this movie, like nowhere even close. So it's such a weird thing when your entire visual landscape is so cool and detailed, and all your dialogue is so bad, and all your motivation is so bad. It's just weird.
You know, this whole Dinkar, why don't you chime in? But tell us what you thought of Steppenwolf and his arc, because that's supposed to be like, oh, cool, now we have a reason for why Steppenwolf is here. What did you think?
I mean, sure. In the most nominal sense, yes. If you ascribe a reason to him being there, we gave him a reason to be there. But I think what you were saying, Ruchi, is exactly right. There's no nuance, and I think that's been the case with like pretty much every Zack Snyder film. It's not like he's making it for kids. I believe that his work in
That's the
general
level he can
has
connect
the-
emotions at.
Exactly. It's a movie made by essentially a kid, and
A bro.
then
really.
made the bros are kids. There's literally nothing to this movie other than like it's not just the emotions. Even the plot is basically just this whole like thing he's obsessed with about like what if gods were like getting into fights and shit. There's really no nuance to it beyond that, and that just when you make something that pretentious and don't have any weight behind it, it's particularly terrible.
It
So
becomes
I'm
very
all
paper
for
thin,
like
yeah.
cool visuals and fights without any story. Like that's why I'm a Godzilla v Kong, bro.
Exactly.
Let things
I was
punch each
going to
other.
bring that
It'll
up
be
as
awesome.
a good example of
What's
how
that
you
nuance
can
in
do
that? What are you talking about?
Of course, and there is nuance in
there
that
is.
also, right? What do you call
but a
it?
very specific kind
Brian
of
Cranston didn't die for nothing.
Spoiler, but sure.
But here we are with
7
this,
years old.
like with this iconography that this man is building up of like I am making the most important film in decades, and this is going to change the superhero landscape. But you're really not. A Marvel movie, for all the excuses they make for themselves, like there's always that out in a Marvel movie where like someone steps back and goes like, you realize how ridiculous all of this is, right? At least there's an out that way, and yet they still deal with some pretty heavy stuff, man. Like if you look
Yeah.
at something like a WandaVision,
Yeah.
which is probably not a fair comparison because they're years apart.
Why? It's the same amount of
that's
time,
a-
running length, Dinkar.
Yeah,
You don't think
true.
there's an out in this movie? What about Ezra Miller?
I was just gonna say.
Ezra Miller is, you know,
What do you? Okay.
No,
you mean-
making a joke is not an like the out.
Well,
in
yeah.
Marvel
Okay,
movies.
let me
One
talk about
second,
specific-
before you
let me
before
talk
you
about
take
specific
the
lines.
news, sorry, I just want to say Parag is blowing up the comments. Hold on, I just want to read some of them. It's great. He's like, was anybody sleepy halfway through? Yes.
Sleepy before we
Parag
started.
also says also felt super empty about a lot of the moments that were supposed to leave an impact on me, such as Flash shocked at Superman with the side eye. I mean, I do like that scene, but
It's a good- yeah.
but and he also says kids movies have way more nuance, and he quotes a classic which we all love, such as Paddington.
Correct.
Yeah, cool.
Kids movies do have nuance. These are movies made by kids. They
Okay.
are kids movies.
Speaking
No, I
to
mean,
the
the
kid
most
in the team, I want to talk about one thing with Ezra. So, for instance, there are a number of things that you can dive into with this character in this particular iteration. One is the fact that
Another
yes,
round.
he obviously is. He's the main, like the audience
guy.
perspective. If not Cyborg, then it's Ezra's perspective that we can kind of latch onto. However, Snyder did change up a bunch of things. Now we noticed the whole way throughout the movie that he had removed a whole bunch of gags and removed like one-liners that clearly Whedon had injected into like add some levity to like what you said, Dinkar, where like people say like, isn't this absurd that we're doing all this? Ah. But there were moments where I want to say in the underground fight scene before Soups comes out, when the team Sand Superman gather for the first time and Ezra's going into battle for the first time. There's a throwaway line that Ezra has to Batman when Batman like lays out the plan. He's like, you go there, you go do that, and Flash, go do your thing. To which Flash then says, yeah, but you know, I've only ever like pushed people and like tripped somebody. I've never like been in a fight. I'm a kid who has superpowers. I'm learning to deal with it. Which is nothing profound, but at least that grounded us in some perspective of like, okay, understanding the stakes for even the god in the situation that, you know, he is going into a team amongst gods, but he himself is not a god. He's kind of like a god, but not exactly. Snyder takes that out and has some other random forgettable, like, funny line, quote unquote funny line, but that has no gravity to it. It's just a gag because Ezra's the
I think
guy in
Whedon
the
does
team.
the save one
That's-
life bit, right? Like, which has weight. Like in the previous cut, like he says, Batman tells the Flash, he says, you know, save one life, and then he's like, oh, and then what happens? And he's like, oh, and then you'll know like what it is to be a hero, which is it works both ways. It works as a good kind of lesson, like works as a good way to showcase Batman as somebody who's been doing this for years and kind of still has purpose doing this. At the same time, it kind of shows that Flash, you know, he does this and then you realize, oh, okay, cool, this is what I'm really good at. And I think removing that may have kind of taken it even a step, back, like from where it could have gone.
Yeah. Like
And that first, like, we were at ground zero and we went a step back.
Yeah, like when they're fighting, I think Superman, when he comes back from the dead, and I think in the Whedon cut, I think Bruce brings out the big guns, right? Which is Lois Lane. But in Zack Snyder's cut, she's just there.
She just happens to be
just
hanging
happens
there.
to be randomly there, and she witnesses.
She was in the area.
Abhimanyu has a theory. He said
it was a tweet that.
Oh my god, that's great.
that she's dating the cop over there.
But I mean, even in
not bad.
Whedon's scene, it was Batman, being 3 steps ahead, right?
Yeah.
Bring out the big guns, Lois Lane. So a lot of that was missing. But I was surprised that there were few comedic elements, which was Zack Snyder's. I thought would be in Joss Whedon's, which is I'm Rich.
The I'm Rich one is good.
Yeah,
I love that.
And there's another line, but I can't remember right now.
Well, that's the thing about the comedic elements, though.
Yeah.
Like what I want to get at is the fact that, like, I don't know who put them. I don't know who wrote them. But
Hysteria.
in the previous cut, what matters though is that there were a number of little throwaway lines that may or may not have been funny, but were undercutting lines to kind of like subvert the situation at hand and sort of bring you back to reality of perspective. Because in Snyder's case, when you remove all the regular people, they're not gods anymore. Because in order to be a god, you have to be next to a man to get some scope of scale. I forgot that they were gods because there was just no stakes about it. If you take them fighting in Themyscira and fighting in some godforsaken wherever the hell,
takes
there's
forever
nothing.
to finish. Oh
I don't
my
care.
gosh.
Like, I mean, because they're all gods. So who gives a shit? If everyone's a god, it doesn't matter anymore. Does it?
Like Syndrome says, if everyone is special, it just means no one is. Sumit Shetty says, "What's up, my fruits? I watched it at 1.5x speed and loved it." And Parag says, for the same Flash and Batman scene, he says, works as a method to cure anxiety and overwhelming tasks. I still do that when there's too much to do. Do one task. Cool.
Fair play.
I still want to talk about Steppenwolf, just because there is so much chat about like, oh, okay, cool, we finally have some motivation for this character, because his character was, I want to do evil, and now they've kind of just passed that parcel on to Darkseid. Like, oh, who is Steppenwolf? He's doing he's trying to pay back a favor. To whom? Darkseid. What is his motivation? Do evil. So it kind of essentially amounts to the same thing. When you have 4 hours, you can pass the buck off to a bigger villain, and it just doesn't really kind of amount to much. And for me, there were a few moments in this film that are really jarring. And I understand that this, so to speak, is an R-rated film. For me, it's just like there should be. Everyone should be able to go watch Batman and Superman. This is just my personal opinion. It does take me out of it when Cyborg, who's supposed to be a teen titan, and these guys are like good examples for like people, says like fuck the world, and then Batman goes like, I'm gonna fucking kill you. It's it takes me out of it.
But you know what? In the Teen Titans TV show,
yeah,
Nightwing says.
Nightwing.
Yeah, he says fuck Batman.
Yeah, but that's
what is
it's silly, right? And for me, there's this moment at the end of the film which is just so jarring. Okay, like the whole scene where the girl goes up to Wonder Woman, says, "Oh, can I be like you?" And just and this is just after Abhimanyu said he's like, she just blew up people in this like bank. It's like, why would that be a good example? And the other thing is, yeah, at the end, like Steppenwolf has gotten his ass kicked. Alright, he's like, one, Superman has fucking chopped his ear off. Like he's done, dude. He's like, okay, cool. I'm going home. Or whatever, right? He's like, I'm going home. Like, please stop. I'm going home. And then Wonder Woman is like, wait, wait. And then she goes and chops his fucking head off. And I was just like, what?
Remember that?
What was the need
that
for
scene
this,
in
man?
Jurassic World, where
Oh
this
my
one
God.
lady, like one of the people who works at the park,
Gets
gets
picked up?
like and then has like a 5 dinosaur kill where she like one of them
Yeah.
kills her and then the other one like tears her in two, and then like the megalodon swallows her up or some shit.
Yeah.
This felt like a version of that.
Dude, it just felt so unnecessary that,
This is
these are
bullying.
supposed to be heroes. I mean, like, I don't want to get into the whole morality, what separates the heroes from
But
the villains,
you know
but it's
what?
a huge
Again,
part of that, man. Like,
Forget that. Like, leaving aside that context, if there was some reason for that hatred, I would get it. Like, if it was like
it was Thor
when the
cutting off,
Avengers, like, act like
Thor cutting off
bugging her
Thanos' head
throughout, right?
makes sense.
He kept like trying
Yeah,
to
but-
like beef with her like throughout, like, oh, whatever you used to be, and yeah, even that was like so dumb. Like he's trying to be manipulative,
like
trying to make her
yeah.
feel.
Yeah, that was so funny. Where he's just like, I'll handle her, or he's like, and he says, oh, he tells the parademons, oh, she's mine, and she's like, oh, I belong to no one. And I was just about to say, like, I wish Steppenwolf would have gone like, that was not what I was trying to say, man.
Exactly.
That's not what I was
And-
going for. But fine, sure, man. It's just
The
I just
motivation for,
found
like,
so much of
any
this.
other hero is typically like an innocent's life is in danger, or like basically if say Superman was threatened and Wonder Woman was like, you don't fucking do that to my friend, let me like take out my anger by chopping off your head, makes sense. But
No,
she's
you
like,
don't
wait,
get it, then
what did
sir.
you call me?
She's bad.
What did you call me?
He's going home, dude. Like, he was like, fuck it, I'm done, dude. Like, I'm
No,
out
she's
here.
sad. You don't know. She used to love someone. You guys don't get.
Yeah, exactly. She used to. Yeah, listen, that's one of the few things that didn't come up in our Justice League drinking game that we played. I want to bring it out right now and kind of we had so much. There was so many things happening at so many different points of time. It was impossible to drink. Like,
There was so much
consistently.
happening and like nothing happened. But
No, I mean, like, in the sense according to the drinking game.
Oh,
Right,
one second.
yeah.
There was a sesame seed in slow motion.
There was a
right?
sesame
There
seed
was
in
a
slow
lot happening.
motion. There was
There was a
lot.
burger in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
again, this movie, how it undermines itself. Like, there is that lovely exchange which is between Lois and Martha, which I was like, all right, this is a lovely thing. Doesn't pass the Bechdel test, but it's cool. All right, it's a nice moment, and it, I don't know if this was a scene that was shot originally for the original kind of when they shot it way back when, but she steps out the door, her eyes glow red, she's Martian Manhunter. But why though? I just at
so that
any
he
given point
leaves
of
the
time,
house right
Yeah.
on time when Superman comes.
I don't understand what is his stake in that, and if he really truly believes that he needs to do more.
And they're having a heart-to-heart.
Yeah,
and
it's like
it's a genuine
general
moment.
information that only these two people would know, unless Martian Manhunter has like invaded her privacy and like read her thoughts or whatever. I'm just like, there's so many things. Like, and I spoke to a lot of people who aren't as familiar with the Justice League and the characters and stuff, and they just came out and were like, what, is this movie not for me? Am I not supposed to fucking understand like anti-life equation or Martian Manhunter? Like,
That's me.
And for me, dude, for someone who even reads the comics, throwing in the anti-life equation, I was just like, well, okay, sure. And I was just like, but are they gonna get into this at some point? But it was just, there's so much, like, not even fan service. I wouldn't even call this fan service.
That was
Fan
the
service
dumbest
is-
thing when he discovers that the anti-life equation.
Yeah,
is-
how, what does he do? He has a
So that
dream?
it's
Everybody has a
here.
dream or a car accident in this movie, man. I don't know what it is.
This is so much road safety issues.
Yeah,
There were way too many
With
cars.
hot, with the,
It's-
the-
I
the
took
touching
it
hand
as-
hot dogs. Yeah.
Speaking as the outsider, like unfamiliar with Manhunter, like I took it as just blatant franchise building with complete disregard for any, like on brand with his track record, complete disregard for any integrity to the story, and just like, well, I need to create another window for the next movie.
no,
Because it's like, well,
wasn't
this movie's definitely going to kill. We're going to make a whole lot of money. There's no chance in hell they won't greenlight a sequel if I just insert a window in this story right now to allow for that sequel.
Don't
So
say
let's
it,
do it.
man.
Hooray.
Don't say it.
You could even tell after Martha and Lois have had the discussion. You can tell that was in the original cut, but then they've reshot just to
Oh, exiting the
building, and he is Martian Manhunter. It's pretty obvious because it's just
The internet has been littered with so many random like Instagram posts of shitty quotes from Snyder talking after the fact, after people have seen the movie. And I don't know which
Still
one of them,
world building,
which of
dude.
them are true.
Even
But
4
like
hours
some
was
of
not
them,
enough.
some of them are great. Like Zack Snyder said the studio ordered him not to shoot any new footage for the Snyder Cut.
Yeah,
And in
yeah.
quotes. And then I just, of course, shot stuff anyway.
in his
Well,
backyard.
in his
What does that
backyard.
tell you? Like, I mean, what does that say? That's
his
just
No,
like,
he's just trying to give people. He's just trying to give the studio the finger, right? It's basically just like, oh, look what I would have done.
I will
but
say
now you're not
this.
gonna get it anyway.
But I will say this. Ultimately, I do feel a lot of the blame does reside on WB. I wish they
course.
just
Yeah.
they trusted this guy, whatever his vision may be. They should have just let him finish his fucking movie like 4 years ago. Whatever, I don't even. I think there's a decently kind of average movie in this movie if it was like 2.5 hours long. I think they did a greater disservice by doing such a tonal shift to what was already a path that they started down, started on. And, there was already BVS, there was already Man of Steel, and there was a lot of course correction, but like, let him finish it and then call it a day, then move on. Abhimanyu and I were watching Aquaman yesterday because we just wanted to see what that was like. And man, just leaps and bounds ahead in just thought and
It's a good film.
it's not bad at all. Like, it's
she
not terrible.
is she American or British?
She's American in this.
Oh, that's nice. Okay,
Yeah,
great.
she's
Just check-
American
Just
in
checking.
this. And it's just
That's James Wan, though. Like,
James Wan,
Yeah.
the guy, who's to say James Wan isn't a visionary, man? The guy has got some incredible looking visuals in this, and he has a seed of thought in his brain on how to construct the story. It may be like, maybe it's exactly what DC, Abhiman is telling me, this Aquaman made $1 billion at the box office. Dude, it makes sense, dude. The movie has a coherent storyline.
If you can show the film to your mom, it's a good film.
This is Abhimanyu's
That's-
theory.
he's
that's
actually likable in that. Like, he's such a
is.
bro in Justice League. Like, I would never I wouldn't want to be saved by.
And he's littering the ocean, throwing bottles into the ocean.
Right,
and-
yeah.
Yeah.
But he doesn't care. Right?
There is
Yeah.
that nice line again. There's another nice moment where he sits on the lasso of Hestia, right? In the original cut, and he's funny and it's cool. It's a nice little touch. It's like it's a very Joss Whedon thing, right? Where you're kind of playing the superpowers, against your own people and kind of getting a new result, as opposed to only being used for it's such a Joss Whedon thing, and it was good. Tell me something. Is
Wait,
the
what are you
Joss
saying?
Whedon is the Joss Whedon cut still just superior than this movie, because it does exactly the same thing. Okay,
It's not.
it does
It's not.
it does roughly the same movie beats. Okay, team comes together, unethically brings Superman back to life. Sorry, I cannot
Yeah.
get over that. All right, I just simply cannot get over that.
I mean, yeah, you're gravediggers essentially.
Your gravediggers. He followed the death of Superman arc, way early, but he didn't follow the reign of Superman arc, which is that Superman cannot be killed so easily. He should have just brought him back easily. And this movie is 4 hours long, and Superman kind of comes in only 2.5 hours in, which sucks for a Justice League movie. And that movie does all of that, kind of puts it together, has some nice, genuinely nice story beats. So is the Joss Whedon cut just better, man? I don't know, and not by much, I would say, but can you compare the two? What do you guys think?
I would watch the Whedon cut purely because it's shorter and it's the same story.
It achieves the same goals, I think, right? Like
Snyder's is prettier, but that's a personal opinion. I don't care that much. I'd rather enjoy a good story than a pretty one, than a pretty
I don't
non-story.
think it's particularly pretty either, honestly. I think the successful moments Zack Snyder has had visually have been because there's some sort of depth to the visuals, or there's like some sort of subtext behind them, like this scene from BVS, for example, where Batman and Superman are having a fight. That's like the iconic visual from that movie, right? It's because like the contrast of like Superman and Batman comes out in those like few visuals. I can't pick a single moment like that here where the visuals have any sort of
lasting
meaning
Yeah.
or purpose.
Yeah.
Which is why like I can't like describe a scene which I could from
exactly.
BVS.
There's this really very, again, pretty kind of moment at the end where Flash is using the Speed Force to. So first of all, the Speed Force is a throwaway line in this movie.
Yeah,
Don't
but
even
why-
get into it. There's
why
no
is he
reason
doing
for
that?
him to access the Speed Force to kind of
Yes.
do it. It's
Yeah.
just, it's like 2 minutes of the Flash kind of using the Speed Force. Again, looks cool, and I'm very excited for what Andy Muschietti might be able to do with that. But it's just so like, it's just, it's unnecessary. And it's like, for me, it's like them when they use the Dark Phoenix storyline, and it's just like, it's so they just don't do justice to it, you know. It's just like,
Trivialized.
it sucks. Yeah, it's trivialized. Parag is saying, never forget he had a 5-hour cut when he was promoting Release the Snyder Cut. Them fighting Superman has zero impact to anything. Aquaman's contribution, the Snyder Cut, is similar to the item numbers in DC movies, is what Shravan says.
Also, when they were promoting the film about the 5-hour cut, there was promotion that said Unite the Seven.
Unite
right?
the Seven, yes.
But
That
it's
was one of the
actually-
drinking game.
But it's
thing.
actually only 6.
Well, Martian Manhunter, dude.
Yeah, but back then they didn't
Okay,
have Martian.
here's a question. Every movie in its first cut is substantially longer than the finished product, and that's why producers and executives exist, to kind of like play devil's advocate and like just be like have some middle ground between like pure full-blown artistic ego versus what is actually palatable and for a global audience. So it makes sense that cuts get shorter. What I want to know is, when WB signed Snyder for this movie, sure, maybe he had a 5, maybe he had a 10-hour cut in his head. When they signed him off to do this film, they must have given him like, here is the running time we're signing you on to do. Like, he would have known
Well,
that
they
he was
did-
signed on to
there
do a
was
2-hour
precedent
movie,
for
or
it,
maybe 3.
He did a
So, no, the
BVS
thing is-
Ultimate cut as well.
No, that's fair play. Like a secondary cut is a whole other thing. But what I mean is, like, if the the whole thing with that whole tragedy hadn't happened with his daughter and all that, and he managed to finish his thing at the very offset, I'm sure he knew full well that he was signed on to do a 2 and change hour movie. So if you have a 4, 5, 10-hour movie, that's nothing to brag about, because I think that's everybody that starts off has something that's absurdly long, because that's how most things begin, with like a giant ramble, and then you have to coagulate it all together, and then you get other people to help you make something more coherent. So I feel like all the interest now, I mean, not even now, well, pretty much since the first cut released, all this like bleeding out of this movie that's occurred is just like feeding into the drama of the backstory
has
of this movie,
single-handedly
rather than
popularized
the
director's
actual
cuts,
movie
dude.
itself. Yeah, like the movie itself is not worth doing all this tamasha for. Like, I completely get it if you're talking about a Godfather or Citizen Kane or a movie that people actually give a shit about. But like, this is a movie that is just been bled out for like the drama, based on the fact that like you're piggybacking on the fact that the IPs in this movie people are emotionally attached to. But it's not the actual movie.
I actually
Nobody
agree.
cares about
Yeah.
the movie. It is
That's
just
true.
the fact that like
It's
the
Batman and
stickers,
Superman.
the Batman, the Supes, the Wonder Woman, just the blanket statement of this movie is about these people. Therefore, we care. But your story is a piece of shit. I'm sorry. It just is.
And
Nobody's talking about the
there
story.
isn't much that happens that warrants the 4 hours the timeline. I think that's the biggest issue.
And
Like,
you-
it's another huge issue
And
of this.
even for a 4-hour film, you can't have this as like Deathly Hallows Part 1, Deathly Hallows Part 2, right? There's no midpoint where you can cut and leave people on a cliffhanger and then a year later show them Part 2 of Justice League, right? Like, so again, like, it's just not structured.
It's like the snap, the snap in Infinity War, like perfectly segments the two kind of films, into two parts. Here, there's not one. Yeah, you're right. There's no like, intermission
Single moment.
That where you can go
There's
like.
no story. There's not enough story.
There's not enough story. You're right. There's not enough that first of all warrants for us.
I mean, there are a lot of good versus evil films out there, but this was just kind of just too much fan service, I think, over story.
And not enough at the same time. Like, there's nothing in it. There's really nothing in it other than.
Let's sorry, Jishnu, go ahead.
I want to ask if you've been keeping up with the positive reviews. Like, what are people most happy about when it comes to this? Like, with regard to like the catharsis that they got from seeing this version. Like, what are they latched onto that they've felt vindicated?
All the things that we just mentioned, Jishnu. All the things that I think the majority is having seen that the power of fans is capable of getting something like this greenlit. Like, first of all, I mean, you said it yourself as soon as we finished the movie. It's like you were just like, after all of this, after all the blood, sweat, and tears, fans who really did want this to happen aren't gonna go like, well, that was a waste. They're not. For them, it's like they won before the movie was released, right? Like,
exactly.
And for those reasons, I applaud them. And there's a lot of good work that's been done.
There's a lot of goodwill.
Even like a lot of like charitable kind of work has been done. They've donated like $500,000 to the American Suicide Prevention Foundation, I think. And like, so there's a lot of good things that have happened from this movie, and because of that, it's kind of almost irrelevant what the movie is like. Like they've gotten what they wanted, and for that it's excellent. And they can be happy to see more running time of Ben Affleck. Dude, man, I love Ben Affleck, dude. Honestly, at the end of this movie, it would have been like, dude, the way he looks in that last like scene, he's like fucking jacked, he's ripped, he's looking like 10 years younger. I'll be like, yeah, sure, let's do another Batfleck film, man. I'll do it as long as he makes it and writes and directs it. Sure, I'll take it. We can make it like The Accountant. Anyway, but the point is like, I would take that, but so for those reasons, people are very happy to see Martian Manhunter. Fans of the comics who have never seen that kind of, appear in the films, they finally get to see it. So yeah, I think they won, and for the same reasons, we just didn't enjoy it. We wanted something more coherent. We got something even less.
So people are happy to get more of the same. People that didn't like it are not happy because we got more of the same.
I don't know.
It's more of the same, right? I mean, like, there's no substantial difference.
Let's talk about.
It's more coherent because the tone is consistent, fair play, but it's still the same thing, right? Like, I didn't see a drastic difference.
But
therefore, I was just like,
it's
longer, and I didn't like it to begin with. So why would I enjoy something twice as
exactly?
long?
We knew the beats of this film are going to be the exact same. Like, unless they did some really extensive reshoots where they actually fight Darkseid. The beginning, the middle, and the end, which is the beginning being Batman needing a team up, the middle being bringing back Superman to life, and the end being defeating Steppenwolf, is essentially the same. It's just like a little more time spent with the characters, and that time spent with the characters simply was not good enough. It was not substantial enough. It didn't have enough depth, at least for all of us. I do want to talk about the last 30 minutes because there is they've potentially put in some they've put some sequel bait in there. We don't know why. Let's kind of get into the speculative part of it. What did you guys, and the review part of it, what do you guys think of? Let's talk about the Joker. Let's talk about that last scene. Let's talk about the nightmare sequence. What did you guys think, Richie?
Is it a nightmare sequence or just a dream sequence?
All the nightmare sequences have been
He's just dreaming. It's not like.
He's definitely like. Didn't they label all the models from that? All the toys from that entire scene. Nightmare Batman. Yeah,
they did. They committed the cardinal sin of movie storytelling, man. He woke up. It was a dream.
Seriously.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's so sad. Like, it would have been so cool to see something like this in live action. Like, so many years ago. Like, I don't know.
My only thing about this was that nightmare sequence could have been told. There was this moment where in the movie, if you guys remember, Cyborg says, "Oh, when you touch the mother box at that Speed Force and all that stuff, when they're resurrecting Batman, you start to see things, you start to dream things, and there's like a few kind of vignettes of like Superman holding Lois.
You were hoping for the equivalent of Thanos' soul.
Soul Stone, yeah, and
Thing
I
on the
thought,
book, yeah.
here's a great moment to just put in the nightmare sequence, because somebody somewhere is having a vision, something cool. It was almost like Scarlet Witch kind of kind of fucking with people's heads. I thought that would be really, really cool, but they literally just tack it on to the end without context, and for me that was like even more of a that was just so frustrating. I was just like, we can all edit this movie, and make a more coherent kind of version of it, or at least if we really desperately want to put these scenes in. I don't know. What do you guys think of the scene itself?
Nothing to say. It's just shoehorned in, and it's out of context, and it's just random, and big whoop. It's like, big whoop because it's Batman and Joker. Obviously, everybody's gonna shut up and listen because it's the two of them, because those IPs are meeting. But they're completely out of context. So there was no. I mean, there's no semblance of anything.
He's saying that he's done with DC, but I think the scene at the end is just like, he's like, no, I'm not done. Like, I still do this, but I'm gonna legally say that
he shot that now, like 6 months ago. He doesn't want to be done. You know what makes people not be done? A whole wad of cash from HBO. That's what makes people get out of retirement, dude.
I mean, Deathstroke didn't do anything. He just stood there and looked like Deathstroke.
He just went from hairstyle to hairstyle.
Pretty much.
Poor guy. So much, promise.
But apparently, JL2 was supposed to be, the whole film is a nightmare sequence, apparently.
The whole film was a nightmare in this one as well.
It's a nightmare sequence,
Whole lot of shoulda, woulda, couldas.
There you go.
But
all right.
anywho,
guys.
I don't want to keep hopping on the negatives. It's just like, I could do this all day, but like, come on.
This movie is not about, you're still talking about it in terms of like, what it means to the universe building or whatever. It's really just him trying to like, all right, I could have done this, and it's kind of sad actually, especially in that last scene where you could tell when obviously he repairs the tape recorder again, and it's like his dad telling him like, oh, I'll be your father like twice over, whatever. It's like, so it's obviously a thing, right? It's clearly closure by way of this movie, and it's kind of sad, and you can't really like make fun of it to that extent. It's really like, just I guess it's just about like giving this man, letting him indulge like this one thing, and everyone's been like enabling him as well. So just like let him have.
Exactly. I don't want to keep on his parade too much. I'm just like, cool. You've like, I'm happy for him. Like personally, I'm just like, this is a very commendable effort. Like this is beyond Herculean. So go for his fans and supporters for like getting this done. But now that it's done, I just wanted to end. It's like, can we just move on to other things, please?
Rohan
and like
in the comments says, but who cares about the context? That nightmare scene was cool AF.
It would have been, man. Like, I really would have.
Not 4 hours in. Maybe if you open the movie with that, I mean, like, oh, okay, let's see what you got. If you put it 4 hours into it, hell no.
We faded quickly.
If
you
something
haven't
happened in that sequence, cool, but it's just
I'm
a
not
conversation
sure
between.
what happens in that.
And I couldn't really tell what the Joker and Batman were talking about.
Yeah,
that
the
scene.
voice
I just
was
remember the Joker
pretty muffled.
shaking a lot because he was
shaking
scared
him.
because Batman said.
Also, okay, someone needs to like clear this up for me. Why would the Martian Manhunter call himself? He was like, you can call me the Martian. I thought he'd say like John or something. Yeah. Why does he say you can call me the Martian? Like, that's so weird.
Who else in the universe has called him Martian Manhunter? This was my question. Exactly. I think for this the whole movie's logic is fundamentally broken down at the very beginning when Darkseid keeps mentioning this whole, the Kryptonian has gone, there are no lanterns. First of all, the Kryptonian did not exist 30 years ago. First and second of all, Kryptonians are only powerful on Krypton. I see we have all swapped positions here because Dinkar has left the chat.
No, that was Joggy.
Now Jishnu is Dinkar, his dream. Dinkar is Ruchi, and Ruchi is Jishnu.
Dinkar's Ruchi, that's his dream too.
Well, it's fine. I wish they worked more on character building if they continue with the Justice League series, is what Alexander says. Would you guys watch another movie? Would you guys watch another JL? Supposing, they have a fresh start, it's only nightmare sequence, it's all like, this in media res, apocalypse, world engine.
What are you asking? Would we watch another Zack Snyder Justice League?
Yes, of course. This is ostensibly his world now, and we are just living in it.
No, I definitely watched another Justice. I mean, I want.
We won Justice League, yeah.
But I don't know about. I think, Power. I guess. Yeah.
I think you're asking the wrong people.
Fair enough. No, I'll watch it. Of course, we'll watch it.
Because yes, I think that we know everybody in this stream right now is going to watch it.
Yeah.
And everybody probably everybody watching the stream is going to watch it too. Because let's be real, we're all here.
Says no, make it stop.
I'll watch it if I have to deactivate my Twitter.
Yeah. Fair.
No, that's like half the fun of it. Oh my
I
God.
agree. It's half the fun, and the other half is the pure.
We're all gluttons,
evil.
man. Let's face it. What are we doing?
I just think Matt Reeves just has a huge responsibility right now.
I think that movie is gonna be. It might not be all right. You can give a little bit of a stopgap and be like, all right, it's not gonna be fucking The Dark Knight.
When is that
I
coming
think
out?
it's gonna be fun. It's
No,
not.
I
gonna
just
be-
won't need it. It just should. It just has to be a good movie. That's all.
Yeah, I think it's all right. And
I think that does, that's what it kind of comes down, at least for me. It was just like everybody seems to have enjoyed the film, and that's great. But is it unfair of me and us who are Justice League fans to expect and want more from arguably the most popular and iconic superheroes of all time, man? Like, I think we deserve to have more nuance, more subtlety, and from characters, who have shown both sides.
thing,
who've
right?
shown, yeah,
Like, it's not ending. None of this is ever going to end. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think
Superhero movies till the day we die. So you're gonna get it. It's gonna be.
Yeah.
fun.
They don't care what we want.
It's not gonna be via Zack Snyder. So.
yeah. All right. I think we can.
Release the air cut now.
Yeah.
Release the George Miller film.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, not anymore. Like Army Hammer is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Really sad about him not being a cannibal guy. He's just a regular abuser.
It's just a regular blood drinker.
Not even that.
I missed something.
There's no story.
You're good.
Okay.
Not a cannibal.
Rohan asked, don't you guys want to watch the movie about the Nightmare Justice League? The answer was yes. We did say we do want to watch it. Just make it good, guys.
I
Make
think
it good.
Parag saying need an all-star Superman movie.
Love All
So
Star Superman.
that's technically happened with the animated film, right? But they missed out a lot of the comic in the animated film.
There's a lot of
Oh,
Yeah,
this
they had
is
to do
we
a-
get an interesting question
they
from
had to do a greatest
Alexander,
hits.
who says, what was your favorite moment in this new Justice League movie? Let's talk about the positives, which is something we just failed to do this time. What was your favorite moment? Give us your favorite moment from this movie. You should be able to pick
That
it
bit
easily.
where
only think of
Dark
jokes.
Side like loses blood and just goes like.
when Darkseid passes
that's
out,
all.
like,
The Dark Side faints.
Yeah,
Oh
I can
my
think of
God.
favorites that are horrible, and
That was so
they're my favorite
No,
because they
nothing
amuse
horrible
me.
about it.
Just
was-
goes, "Ugh."
That was objectively spectacular.
I think
Mine is it was there in the Whedon cut, which is Superman looking at Flash.
Yeah,
in slow
that is a
motion.
solid.
That's like it's legit. Yeah.
Solid
that's
move.
my-
That's
I
a
actually
great-
missed
yeah.
that line also where he goes like where he picks up Batman. He says, "You won't let me live. You won't let me die. What do you want?" I like that, man. That was cool.
Yeah.
I did miss that. I miss Mustache Kid. I really love Superman. I just wish that we got to see more of him. More of that scene with Alfred. If like Jishnu and I were talking about that. That would
Yeah.
have been really nice.
Okay, here's my favorite missed opportunity. That scene, the Batman meeting Alfred for like a hot second, which was completely arbitrary. But I was super excited to see that pairing. Batman's like
It
Superman
was
meeting
so
Alfred.
arbitrary because
And I was like, oh, cool, this is a great pairing. Let's see what happens here. This could be really fun. Even if nothing happens, at least you'll get something amusing out of it, or it'll just be a good meeting of the minds, something or the other, some perspective,
Yeah.
something.
So
Nope.
I think it
They went that away. That's exactly what that scene was
dude,
about.
and it was so funny because Cyborg's dad essentially, like in Terminator 2, dies the exact same way. Okay, and he dies essentially for nothing because he's like the later we were just like, why did he kill himself? And then it's just like, oh, he's put a heat signature on the mother box so you can trace it. And then the next scene is the Atlanteans and the Amazonians just looking from a distance. They're just like, okay, cool, that's where they are, and you know heat signature required, and yet the most perceptive man on the planet, the Kryptonian, flies to Alfred to ask, where did they go?
Yeah.
just show
Yeah.
me, tell me.
I
where
think
they
that
went.
scene was just put in just to have an interaction between Superman and Alfred. But I remember in
It should have been
Chris
longer.
Nolan's like Batman Begins, there's a scene with Lucius Fox and Alfred, which wasn't in the script, but both actors were like, I want a scene with, you know,
Oh,
walking.
I just want that.
Yeah, and he put it in, but he put it in a subtle way, which sort of worked out. So, but with Zack Snyder's, when Superman
It's
meets
really
Alfred, it's
sad
very
too
random.
because Jeremy Irons is so good.
Yeah.
He is,
Oh.
right? He's really good,
Yeah.
man. I really, really enjoyed. I do enjoy him as Alfred, which is why I still don't mind watching a Batfleck movie, but
Yeah, I'm on board.
He's
I'd
gonna
still
show
want
up
it.
in. He's gonna show up in Flash.
is that confirmed?
Isn't Ben Affleck in
Or
it?
if Alfred does a flashpoint and he becomes Batman.
Man,
Yeah,
just
no.
get Jeffrey Dean
He's
Morgan.
got the jaw.
Yeah, that's true.
Alfman.
Okay, I think we're getting some more. Rohan says the stupid dialogue of Batman saying that something is definitely bleeding was out of the movie. That's all that matters. It was all about fixing previous movie, and he did a good job. Disagree, but that's fine if you enjoyed it. I think that line was dumb. We also didn't like it. Remember, something is definitely we didn't enjoy that.
Most lines in this movie are
Yeah.
terrible. Like,
Jared's. What do you think of Jared's acting as the Joker towards the end of the movie? Just, I can't enjoy it because it's so irrelevant. Is my point.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Silas didn't need to die. He could have stepped out of the room and still pressed the button. You're right,
Yep.
Shravan. You're absolutely right.
100%.
A
pointless death.
There was just so much pointless stuff in this movie. Not to mention the cringe-worthy Flash and Iris scene. They could have built. It's just like eyes on the road. Iris, stop kind of like both of them perving out on each other.
Yeah,
Yo, just
it's like you
focus,
you
man.
just saw him for the first time, and now you want to like follow her around. Like,
That scene is like 7 or 8 minutes, right? And it's meant to give you some like empathy for the guy, but instead I'm empathizing with a fucking sesame seed.
Dude, we got some really good POVs in this movie, as Dinkar mentioned when we
Why?
were watching it. We got the POV of the Sesame Seed. We got the POV of
Coffee.
the shirt that he puts on in Martha Kent's
Yeah.
house.
and the coffee.
The coffee.
Yeah.
We got the perspective of the coffee. All these characters, like when we were in grade 6 or 5, and they said write from the perspective of a coin, like an entire essay. That's what it felt like sometimes.
Also,
Right.
it has to be said, she's a horrible actress. Gal Gadot.
Kal-El, no. is what
No, but it's like
no,
it
no.
gives me so much more like respect for Patty Jenkins. Like she's such a great director.
I know she's a bad actress, but I still enjoy her presence in these movies. There's a levity that she will bring just by being in the frame. Like, I don't know what it is, but it's just like, it's just chill. Like, there's a lot of like bro energy.
She has charisma. She has
Yeah.
charisma.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
Who Iris? What are you talking about?
No, Gal Gadot.
No, Wanda. I'm saying Gal Gadot.
Wonder
Oh,
Woman.
okay.
Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman, yes.
All right. I think we should call it here. There seems to be endless otherwise. Not unlike the film we saw. All right. Thank you so much, you guys. For anybody who wants to continue this discussion, we have made a new text channel on our Discord server, which you can go to. It's there on our the description of this video. Just sign up, join in, continue the conversation over there. We do this show every single week, so make sure you like and subscribe and come back. We're going to be doing Falcon and the Winter Soldier at some point, but we also are going to be talking about random other things. So do make sure you tune in every week. Thanks, Ruchi, Abhimanyu, Dinkar, Jishnu. You guys have been great. And we'll see you in when we review Justice League 2. All right. Bye.
4 years from now.
I'm sad.